Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today we're going to be focusing on conversation skills.
Yeah.
And specifically 10 common topics
Yeah,
that we can use to really level up our English conversation skills.
that's right.
And we're going to be talking about how to not just participate in these conversations, but really shine.
Yeah, and really make them more interesting and engaging, go beyond the sort of like textbook phrases
Yeah.
and really get into like the nitty-gritty of what makes a good conversation.
Yeah, and make those connections,
Right, exactly.
make those genuine connections with people.
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump right into topic number 1, and that is daily routine and work.
Okay.
Now, I think we all know that very common question, what do you do?
Yeah.
Whether it's in a job interview or just meeting someone new for the first time.
Right.
But how do we answer that in a way that's more than just like
Right.
stating our job title?
Yeah, instead of just saying, I'm a lawyer or I'm a teacher or whatever it is,
Yep.
you can describe your day like you would to a friend.
Right.
And use sensory details.
Yeah.
So like, what do you see on your way to work? What do you hear?
Right.
What do you smell?
So it's almost like painting a picture
Yeah, exactly.
with words.
Yeah.
But not just any picture. It has to be engaging, right?
Right. It should engage the senses.
Okay, so how would you answer that what do you do question then?
Well, let's say I take the train to work every morning.
Okay.
I might say something like, well, my morning starts with me squeezing onto a packed train. And usually I'm listening to a podcast or, maybe some music
Okay.
to kind of like block out the noise.
So you're giving context. You're giving that sensory detail.
Exactly. And you're making it relatable.
Right.
Even if someone's never been on a train before, they can kind of imagine what that's like.
Yeah, they can imagine being in that crowded space.
Exactly.
Right. That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
I think I'm already feeling a little bit more prepared to handle that question now. Okay, let's move on to topic number 2, which is hobbies and interests.
All right.
Now, this is the one where we want to sound passionate, right?
Yeah.
We want to show our personality.
Exactly.
But how do we avoid just like listing a bunch of activities?
Right. You don't want to just say, I like hiking, I like reading, I like movies.
Right.
You want to talk about why you like those things.
Okay.
What is it about them that you enjoy so much?
Give me an example.
So let's say you love playing guitar.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I play guitar, you could say something like, I love playing guitar. It's my way to unwind after a long day.
Okay.
It's almost like meditation for me.
Ah, so you're sharing that deeper why,
Exactly.
that personal connection that you have with that hobby.
Right. And you're also showing the other person that you've thought about this, that it's not just a superficial interest.
Right.
It's something that you really care about.
I was actually reading one of the sources for this deep dive, and it suggested something similar for photography.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying, I like taking pictures, you could say, I love capturing those like unexpected moments you find in city streets.
That's a good one.
It's like you're showing your artistic side.
Yeah, you're adding a layer of personality to it.
Exactly.
And I think that makes you more interesting as a conversationalist.
I agree. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not just sounding cool, we're expressing ourselves.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, topic number 3. Let's go on a little journey.
Okay.
Travel experiences.
All right. Everyone loves a good travel story.
Yeah, but what makes a travel story captivating?
Well, I think the key is to think about your most vivid travel memory.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be some big adventure or anything.
Okay.
Even a simple day trip can be really interesting if you tell it well.
So tell me more about that.
Well, think about the details, the sensory experience.
Okay.
What did you see, smell, taste on this trip?
Right.
How did it make you feel?
Right.
Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you surprised?
This reminds me of a trip I took to Morocco a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And what I remember most about that trip wasn't the like stunning architecture,
Right.
which it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was the smells of the spice markets.
Oh, wow.
So intense.
Yeah.
And so unfamiliar.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And if I just said, oh, the architecture was beautiful,
Right.
it wouldn't really capture the essence of that trip.
Yeah.
But those details, those sensory details are really important.
Exactly. And it helps to transport the listener to that place with you.
Okay, so it's like we're painting a picture again with words, just like with our daily routines. I'm
Exactly.
starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
All right, topic number 4, family and personal background.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more delicate, right?
Yeah, I think the key here is to find a balance between sharing enough to be interesting,
Right.
but without oversharing.
Yeah, without getting too personal.
Right, exactly.
So what kind of things could we share?
Well, instead of just listing facts, like where you were born or how many siblings you have,
Right.
you could talk about things that have shaped your perspective.
Okay.
Like maybe a family tradition or a cultural influence,
Okay.
or even a childhood memory that's really stuck with you.
So it's about the impact of our background rather than just the facts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to topic number 5. And I think this is where things could get a little tricky.
Yeah.
Current events and news.
Okay.
How do we talk about this, without getting into arguments or
Right.
heated debates?
It's a minefield out there.
It really is, yeah.
I think the most important thing to remember is that the goal isn't to win an argument or change anyone's mind.
Okay.
It's to understand different perspectives.
Okay.
So instead of jumping in with your strong opinion,
Right.
you could ask questions like, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay.
Or how do you think this will affect things?
So we're starting a conversation
Yeah.
rather than giving our opinion.
Exactly. And it takes the pressure off,
Right.
You're not trying to convince anyone of anything.
And we're showing that we're open to hearing other opinions,
Right.
which I think is really important these days.
Definitely.
All right, so that's a good tip for current events and news.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more in this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Let's lighten things up a bit.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about entertainment and media.
All right. One of my favorites.
I know, me too. I could talk about movies and music all day.
Yeah, me too.
But what are your thoughts on how to make these conversations a little bit more engaging?
Well, I think using descriptive language is really important.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I love that movie,
Okay.
you could say something like, the acting was incredible.
Right.
The special effects were so realistic.
So we're going beyond, I liked it, I didn't like it.
Exactly. You're giving specific details
Right.
that show why you enjoyed it.
So we're kind of going back to that why again.
Yes, exactly.
It's like all these topics are connected somehow.
I think you're right.
That's so interesting.
It's all about using language to connect with people.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
Introducing these first 6 conversation topics.
Right.
But I think we've only just scratched the surface.
I agree.
I'm really excited to dive even deeper
Me too.
in the next part and really unpack these topics even
Oh,
more.
looking forward to it.
What do you say? Ready to keep exploring?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so we left off talking about entertainment and media.
Yeah, we were getting into how to make those conversations more lively.
Right, like how to express your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Beyond just saying, I liked it or I didn't like it.
So give me an example.
Well, let's say you're talking about a movie.
Okay.
And instead of just saying, the acting was good,
Right.
you could use a metaphor or a simile.
Ooh.
I like that. To add some depth. So you could say something like, that actor's performance was so powerful, it was like a punch in the gut.
Wow, that's a good one.
Or if you're talking about a song,
Oh.
you could say listening to that song was like floating on a cloud.
Oh, that's nice.
Something like that.
So we're really painting a picture with our words.
Exactly.
And making it more vivid for the other person.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're painting pictures, we're using metaphors and similes. Anything else?
Well, I think it's also important to remember that a conversation is a two-way street.
Right.
So it's not just about you talking.
It's about listening
Exactly.
and responding.
Right, and asking questions.
So it's like a dance.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Back and forth.
Right, sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow.
But we're both participating.
Exactly, and that's what makes it fun.
I agree.
Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
We talked about technology and innovation.
Yes, a very vast topic.
It is.
And it changes all the time.
Right, exactly.
So how do we keep up?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be curious.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to admit what you don't know.
Right, because nobody knows everything.
Exactly, and people are usually happy to share their knowledge.
Yeah, especially about something they're passionate about.
Exactly.
So instead of trying to sound like an expert,
Right.
we can just ask questions.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm really interested in this new technology.
Right.
Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah. Or, what are your thoughts on this?
That's a good one.
And that way we're learning something new.
Exactly.
Oh, we're showing that we're interested.
Right, and I think that's more important than trying to impress someone.
With our knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we might not even have.
Right.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
So be curious, ask questions,
And
and let's move on to food and cuisine.
oh, yes, one of my favorite topics.
Mine too.
So we talked about using sensory details to describe food,
Right.
like the taste, the texture, the smell.
Yeah, and those are all important.
But I think it's also important to think about the experience of a meal.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, was it a romantic dinner for two?
Okay.
Or a big family gathering?
Right.
Or maybe a quick lunch with a friend?
So the context,
Yeah, the context of the meal is important too.
because it adds to the story.
Exactly. It's not just about the food.
It's about the whole experience.
Right, the atmosphere, the company, the occasion.
And the memories.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
We have health and wellness.
Another important topic.
Yeah, and one that can be a little bit sensitive.
Definitely.
So how do we navigate that?
Well, I think it's important to remember that everyone has different beliefs and opinions
Right.
about health and wellness.
So we have to be respectful.
Exactly. And avoid giving unsolicited advice.
Right. Like, don't tell someone they should be doing yoga
Right.
if they haven't asked.
Unless they specifically ask for your advice.
Right.
It's best to just listen and share your own experiences if it's relevant.
So focus on sharing and listening.
Yeah, and respecting other people's choices.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
And finally, we have future goals and aspirations.
Okay, a good one to end on.
Yeah, this is all about our hopes and dreams.
Right.
So how do we talk about those in a way that's engaging and inspiring?
Well, I think it's important to be specific.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I want to travel the world,
Right.
you could say, I'm saving up to go backpacking through Southeast Asia next year.
Oh, I like that.
Or I'm working on a business plan for my dream company.
So we're giving those concrete details.
Exactly. And it makes your goals feel more real and attainable,
Well,
not just some vague idea.
And it might even inspire other people
Yeah, you never know.
to pursue their own dreams.
That's right.
Okay, so we've gone through all 10 topics again
We have.
and added a little bit more depth and nuance. What do you think?
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about and hopefully some tools to help them have more engaging and meaningful conversations
Absolutely.
in English.
Yes, and in any language, really.
That's true.
All right, I'm feeling good about this.
Me too.
What do you say we take a little break
This sounds good.
and come back for part 3?
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about all these different topics and tips and techniques
Yeah.
for having more engaging conversations,
Right.
but I feel like there's still something missing.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Like, we can have all the right words,
Right.
all the perfect phrases,
Right.
but if we're not careful,
Yeah.
it can still feel a little bit
A little flat.
flat. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're just reciting a script.
Right. Exactly.
So what's that missing ingredient?
I think it's that genuine desire to connect with the other person.
So it's not just about the words themselves.
Right. It's about the intention behind them.
The energy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So imagine you're talking to someone who's describing their latest trip to Europe, and they're using all the right vocabulary, all the sensory details, but they're just not that into it.
Right. Their eyes are glazed over.
Exactly.
They're just going through the motions.
Yeah. And now imagine someone else
Yeah.
who's describing a trip to their local park.
Okay. Much less exotic.
Right. But they're so excited.
Okay.
They're using their hands. They're making eye contact.
Yeah.
They're really bringing you into the experience.
So who would you rather talk to?
The second person every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not about the destination.
It's about the passion.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we bring that passion?
Well, I think it starts with being genuinely interested
Okay.
in the other person.
In what they have to say.
Yeah. And in the topic itself.
Okay.
And then all those techniques we've talked about,
Right.
the sensory details, the personal whys,
Right.
they become tools to help you express that passion.
So it's like those tips are the paintbrushes.
Okay.
The topics are the canvas. But the real masterpiece is the connection we create.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And that connection is what makes conversations come alive.
I agree.
So it's not just about speaking eloquently.
Right.
It's about listening attentively
Yeah. Being present in the moment.
and responding authentically.
Exactly.
Oh, it's a dance.
Yeah. Like we said before.
Back and forth.
Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow.
But you're always in sync.
Exactly. And the more you practice this dance,
Yeah.
the more natural it will become.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
So to our listener out there,
Okay.
remember, you have all these tools now
Right.
to have more engaging and meaningful conversations
You can talk about your day, your hobbies, your dreams.
and really connect with people on a deeper level.
And don't forget to bring your passion.
Yeah. Let your personality shine through.
Exactly.
And most importantly,
Yeah.
have fun.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.